What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here today to talk about The Real Housewives of Dubai, Season 1, Episodes 8 and 9. So here for a twofer. If you're just here for the more recent episode, just go ahead and fast forward. There'll be timestamps down below. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So Episode 8 is called Drama in the Sandbox, and it opens up with Brooke. She's in the middle of eating Sara up at Stanbury's desert party. And Brooke just basically wants Sara to take accountability for her mistakes. Brooke's just like, just acknowledge that you fucked up, that you overstepped, and it'll be cool. But Sara's doubling down, saying she didn't do anything wrong. And again, I just feel like that's so out of character for how the persona that Sara's presenting. Like, I'm so zen, I'm so knowledgeable, I'm so aware, and emotionally intelligent and shit. But it's like, oh no, I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, what happened to intention versus reality? I mean, like, your intention versus how it was received. Intention versus reception, I think is what it is. Anyway, then Ayan enters the conversation. She's kind of trying to mediate. Lisa's in tow. And yeah, she's kind of trying to, get to the root of the issue. And Brooks is just like, I'm gonna raise my son the way how I think is right. And Sarah's feeling like Sarah thinks that Brooks is taking her comments out of context and just deliberately trying to make her look bad. And it's like, girl, calm down. You know what I mean? It's like, she's just saying how she feels. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are on Sarah's side with this matter, but I'm really feeling Brooks on it. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know what happened to, again, I'm really big on the, that wasn't my intention, but I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry that, what I said hurt you. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, especially with Sarah, it's just, so, I feel like you'd expect that. But anyways, and Lisa's really rational about it. She's like, I see both sides. She thinks that Sara should apologize for it because, she did comment. You shouldn't comment on how people raise their kids. You know what I mean? It's like, and Brooks, Lisa, she also thinks that Brooks took it too far. So Lisa is like, hey, you both kind of fucked up, But yeah, then everyone prepares for dinner. Sergio and Stanbury make a grand entrance. It's like, there's this big old, staircase going down. So everyone's sitting down at the bottom, and Lisa, everyone's on the bottom, and then Stanbury and Sergio, they're coming down the stairs, and there's, a band behind them and shit. And Nina, she's like, oh my gosh, let me record this. I have to record this. She's like, I want someone to record it for me. I wish I had someone recording for me, so I'm gonna record this. And it's like, bitch, why are you acting like there aren't, a million cameras here? And it isn't gonna be on TV. You know what I mean? But she has to, verbalize it. She's like, oh, I'm gonna record this. So they need to record this. It's like, bitch, people are recording already. I don't know. It's so funny. And then Brooks winds up leaving. She's like, fuck this shit. Brooks is drunk. And Brooks is like, she thinks that Sara acts like a therapist without the credentials. But yeah, it is a poppin' evening. But Stanbury is still big mad over Ayan's outfit. Because remember, this is a mandatory all-white party, and Stanbury's outfit isn't even that noteworthy, but Ayan came all out with it, And it really pissed Stanbury off. And I get why, because, Ayan objectively, upstaged her. But it's also like, well, girl, if you're worried about being upstaged, why are you even having an all-white party? You know what I mean? But even if it weren't an all-white party, Ayan would have still probably upstaged her, but she wouldn't have done it in a white dress. You get what I mean? So it wouldn't have had that same significance, I guess. But yeah, and then Stanbury, she kind of confronts Ayan with her little minion. This bitch named Juliet. She's from Chicago, and she lives in London now. I think she was on Ladies of London, maybe. I never watched that show, but, so kind of talk about it, but Ayan, she's like, meh, Ayan's so unbothered by it. And yeah, and Stanbury, so after she tells Ayan, oh, you came as me, you came dressed as me, all that shit, kind of passive-aggressive, fake jokingly addressing it with Ayan. Stanbury's all fake, oh, I love you, Ayan, and they're shimmying and shit, and it's like, girl, get out of here. It's like, you can totally tell there's a problem, because you hear, there's, audio of Stanbury talking about with her other minions. There are other people who bring it up later on. It's like, you can totally tell that Stanbury's, talking about it, or, you know what I mean, or at least that people are going to her with you. I don't know, you can see if something's going on, basically. Nina then gets a text from her brother. He tells her that her dad is in the ICU over in Austin, and so she rushes to leave. She's like, I have to go home and call my brother. And then Stanbury's other friend, this, I don't know who she is, some other girl, she comes with some rehearsed shade, as Lesa puts it. She's like, oh, I'm trying to figure out who's getting married today. But Lesa is like, Lesa and Ayan are very unfazed, but Lesa in particular, this whole episode 8, Lesa is just like casually playing like shade tennis. She's clocking all this shit, just casually throwing it back, you know? And yeah, Lesa says, you know, of course Ayan's gonna be the best dressed. She always is. Caroline should have fucking brought it. And again, especially if it's gonna be an all-white party, it's like, girl, you gotta bring your shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's the end of the night, and the next day we see Nina and Munaf. They're checking out a new penthouse that they're building. She says that her dad has stabilized since the evening before. And in present time, her dad is better. He's out of the hospital and everything. But yeah, and then this scene is basically just Nina nagging Munaf about some of the changes he can make to the penthouse, because Nina feels like a lot of them are like unnecessary changes that he didn't tell her about. So she's like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? So Nina is just like nagging about that. There's some construction workers there, and she's like, do you think this was necessary? Do you think this was necessary? Because I don't think this was necessary. You know, she's just going on and on. And she also mentions a bit about how she wants her husband to kind of slow down. He's a workaholic. Just something about that. Nothing too crazy. And then there's also the day of Stanbury's wedding. We have about 6 hours till they get married. And Stanbury tells us that so Ayan isn't going to go because of the fashion show. It's this fashion show that's commemorating the 50th anniversary of the UAE. Brooks isn't gonna go because of the night before, because Brooks got into it with Nina and Sara, so she's like, oh fuck that, I'm not going. And Stanbury just said that Lesa couldn't make it. Lesa just couldn't make it to the wedding. There's prepping, getting ready, nothing too noteworthy. And we check with Ayan, she's at the fashion show. And yeah, and then there's a little cute moment. Because Taj is with her, because Taj is also been walking in the show for a little bit. And Ayan butchers that one knock-knock joke, like, oh, knock-knock, who's there? Banana. Knock-knock, who's there? Banana. Like, an orange, you glad I didn't say banana. Like, that one. Ayan, like, butchers it, like, almost as bad as I butchered it right now. Ayan butchers it like that. And then it's just a cute little moment, because at Ayan's birthday party, Taj gave a speech where he, like, shouted out her bad jokes. It's just a cute little moment.
That was a horrible joke.
That was not a horrible joke. I'm getting better.
So I go back to Stanbury's wedding real quickly. Nothing too noteworthy, just basically an average TV wedding. Average wedding. I will notice a note, though, that it's none of my business, though, but I think one of her kids doesn't want to film, or because we see, like, 2 of the kids, like, on camera, but I know she has 3, and the other one, he's not in camera at all. I don't know if he just doesn't want to film, or if he's, whatever. That's how I noticed that, the wedding in particular. But then, again, nothing like to note. It was just standard wedding. And then Brooks and Lesa, they arrive to the fashion show, and they go backstage to talk to Ayan. And yeah, nothing too crazy. Brooks, again, she reverberates that she decided to pass on the event, because she was like, I got into it with Nina, I got into it with Sara, I don't want to deal with that shit right now. And Lesa says that she didn't go because if it's a choice between Stanbury and Ayan, of course I'm going to choose Ayan. And it's kind of like, because remember the whole thing that Stanbury was kind of spewing was like, oh, Lesa and Ayan are like attached at the hip. They don't have their own, they aren't their own people or whatever. And like shit like this almost like confirms that. Not that like they have to go against it or anything, but I don't know. I was like, damn, Lesa, you could have, because again, it's like Ayan is like a top model. She does this shit all the fucking time. You know what I mean? But I get it, you know, and again, Stanbury didn't go to Lisa's Mina Rowe fashion show, so I guess she's like, well, bitch, fuck you, I ain't going to your wedding, you know, but she didn't mention that, but I think that had to have been a factor. It's like, this bitch don't want to go to my fashion show for no reason? Well, fine, I'm not going to her wedding, but I have a reason, you know, so, whatever. And then Brooke, she acknowledges that her desert party antics, it was like, they were half fueled by rage and half fueled by alcohol. And she feels bad about going in on Nina because, you know, she found out that Nina's dad went to the ICU. She's like, oh, I can't believe I went in on her while her dad's sick, blah, blah, blah. So Brooke says she wants to make up with Nina, but she doesn't really give a fuck about Sara. She's like, man, fuck Sara right now. And yeah, and then we see the show. Ayan, she's super happy because Taj, he's modeling in the show. Then Ayan closes. Nothing, it's just a standard fashion show. And then back at the wedding, Yasmin, Stanbury's daughter, she makes fun of Sergio because he's crying like at least 8 times that day. And Stanbury reflects on where she is in life in this marriage, which is her first marriage, because she first got married. She was like 25, and she's like, I was so young, I just wanted to please my husband, didn't really know who I was, but now I know exactly who I am, I know exactly what I want. So just talks about where she is mentally and in her life. Yasmin gives this really sweet speech. She calls Stanbury everyone's favorite MILF. And Sergio gives a speech and says he's gonna be pushing her around in a wheelchair one day. So that was funny because I was like, oh my god. Now it's the next day, and we're at Stanbury's post-wedding brunch, and at first it's Stanbury, Sergio, that one annoying girl Juliet, and Sophie Stanbury, who is she's Caroline's ex-sister-in-law. She was married to Stanbury's brother. Then Lesa arrives, and when Lisa's saying hi to everyone, Juliet, she like clocks that Lisa's American, and she's like, "Oh, are you spicy?" When Lesa confirms that she's from Miami. And Lisa's like, "Oh, I'm extra spicy, And I don't know, I just didn't like that. I didn't like that Juliet asked her, like, "Oh, are you spicy?" And it's like, bitch, are you a deep dish pizza ass crumpet bitch? It's like, girl, fuck you. I don't know. I don't like that shit. It's like, are you spicy? You Miami girl, are you spicy? And it's like, oh, are you dry and flavorless? You London bitch. You dry, flavorless, toothsome person. Well, she's from America, so she won't have that dental shit, but you know what I mean. And then, again, Lesa says she's extra spicy, and Juliet, she's like, oh, not as spicy as Stanbury. You always have to be a little bit less spicy. And Lisa's like, oh, that's why we have conflict, because that's never gonna happen. Again, Lesa is in the Shade Olympics right now. She's like, clocking the shit that this bitch is throwing it back. Ayan arrives all extra. She's like in this fuchsia dress, like blowing in the wind and shit. Juliet makes a face, and she like says under her breath, she's like, where's she coming from? And Lisa's like, oh, you should ask her. Again, Lisa's on it. Like, Lesa is on that bitch's neck, and I loved every second of it. More friends roll in. Ayan says she likes them all except Juliet. Again, that Juliet seems like a cunt. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I did not like that girl. Again, she's like a little minion. Fuck that. Lesa says that the friends wouldn't stand a chance in Dubai because they're too basic. They're too basic. Which the friends did not appreciate. One of them, Luke, this gay dude, he was like, oh, I thought we had a great time, but fine. And he referred to her brand as LuLaRoe, which is if you know, you know, kind of shade. While at the table, the subject of IVF comes up, and Caroline tells everyone that she is going to be carrying the baby. Sophie brings up Stanbury's past pregnancy issues, because I guess when with both her pregnancies, but particularly her second one when she had twins, she had like preeclampsia. The doctors told her like it could be dangerous to have another baby, etc., etc. And Sergio's like, oh, we can do it, and then if it's too rough, we can put the baby inside someone else halfway through. And everyone's like, that's not how it works. I was like, what the fuck, man? I feel like most high schoolers would like know that that's not how that shit works. I mean, it's like basically like, oh yeah, it's let the baby develop in you for a bit, and then if around like 4 or 5 months it's not working, we take the baby out and put it in another bitch and let it finish cooking. And it's like, it was just so bad. Everyone's like, oh, what? And but yeah, and then they also shared that like surrogacy isn't the easiest thing to do in Dubai, because it's illegal there to give birth without being married, so it's like makes surrogacy a tough little thing. And Ayan and Caroline Stanbury's friend, Luke, the gay guy I mentioned earlier, they had a little side conversation about it, and it was just funny because Ayan's just like, oh, she shouldn't take the risk, and Luke is like, oh, honey, like, her mind's made up. It's too late. Like, she just got married. She's in too deep. It was just funny because they're both like, girl, what? Like, girl, I know. Just a cute little, these people, like, dressed mad. They're like, bitch, what? And like, bitch, girl, don't even get me started. Oh, before I forget, Lesa in a confessional, she throw some shade at Stanbury. She's like, health issues or not, they shouldn't do it. They're never with the kids they already have now, so in my opinion, they shouldn't do it. And it's like, damn, Lesa. Fuck. Then the last scene of this episode is Brooke. She's at home with her mother. I was going through baby pictures because Brooks is finally gonna switch up. Because remember, in Brooks' living room, it's all pictures of her, all like self-portraits. So she's like, let me put some pictures of Adam up. Let me put some pictures of my baby, you know? She tells us that, so again, Brooks is from Newton, Massachusetts, the Boston area. But her mom was born and raised in Honduras. And her mom's mom is from Jamaica. So I thought it was really cool. So it's like each generation, like they move. You know, it's like her grandma came from Jamaica to Honduras. Then they went from Honduras up to America, broke up from America to the UAE. Just really cool, I guess. And Brooke shares that like when she was at home in her house, she was in Honduras, but outside, when she leave her house, she was in Massachusetts. And that's how a lot of first generation households, though, I have to say. You know, like I feel like I've heard a lot of situations like that. You know, where it's like, you know, you in the house they keep it very much adhere to the cultures and stuff, and then you know what I mean. And Brooks fills her mom in on stuff with Sara. You know, all the shit that went down. And the mom, she said that Brooks needs to apologize. She's like, okay, girl, like, you have to admit that you're wrong. You know, you fucked up. You're drunk and went off. And Brooks and her mom, they talk about what Brooks went through in her first marriage. And it's very emotional. It's kind of vague. We can tell Brooks has been through some shit. And we learn a bit more about the dynamic. So, like, Brooks met her ex-husband while she was like 21, doing an internship in New York City, and he was this big old businessman, and so there's the age and the power dynamic and the imbalance, and she ended up moving like when she was still really, really young and all that shit. And then Brooks opens up more in the confessional about why she took Sarah's comment so personally, because remember, Brooks, she left her first marriage with nothing. She was like, she didn't get no 50% of that shit. She was just, let me have custody of my son, and she built her way back up. So she gets emotional. She's like, that child was my motivation to live and to do this shit. How dare she, like, imply that I'm not affectionate? Shit like that. And Brooke says she wants to go to therapy and open up more about the abuse that she endured in her first marriage. It's a really emotional scene. But yeah, that's the end of episode 8. Now let's jump into episode 9. So episode 9 is called Dancehall It Out. And it opens a little game show kind of thing. Like before the taglines and everything. It's like just married with the Carayos. And they asked Sergio like, oh, how old was Caroline when she lost her virginity? And he guesses 14. And she's like, no, what? Like, it was 17. It was a cute little, like, it was very unexpected. Then we get the taglines and shit, and then the episode starts. And we open up with Sara. She's linking up with Ayan. And Ayan, funnily, she links up with Sara in an even more flamboyant white dress than the one she wore at Stanbury's desert party. Like, it's this white gown with it makes what Ayan wore to Stanbury's thing, like, look way more watered down. She's like, should I have worn this instead, bitch, essentially? That's what kind of it was giving. And Ayan, she's like, I'm always gonna look better. I was born this way. Deal with God. Like, I don't know if it's out of my hands, honey. Sara says that she hasn't spoken to Brooks since the desert party. She says she holds no grudge. And she says she wants Brooks to heal. And Ayan tells Sara that sometimes her niceness can come off as preachiness. But she does acknowledge that, like, she thinks that Sara has layers, going to her onion analogy. She thinks that Sara has layers, and she wants to know more about her. She wants to learn more about who Sara is. And Sara kind of discusses her aunt's divorce. She says she had an aunt who got divorced when Sara was, like, 14. And it was, like, a really bad divorce. And that essentially showed Sara, like, the importance of, like, not relying on a man and being your own woman, making your own money and shit. And then Sara goes to deny that being preachy, but she's preachy about it. She's like, I don't think I'm preachy, but, you know, sometimes when you start to do better for yourself, other people who are still in the dark like to, you know, try to bring you down. And it's like, well, bitch, what? It was like she's denying being preachy by being preachy. You know what I mean? I thought that was really weird. And then we had a surprising scene. I was not expecting this. We see Brooks linking up with Zoran, her ex-husband, for lunch. He's a Serbian private developer. He has built this huge business over in Dubai. They discussed their marriage. They're married for like 7.5 years, I believe. Just kind of reminiscing and whatnot. And then, it's also worth noting that Zoran is a business partner in the spa that Brooks is building. And she also has one of her ex-boyfriends as a business partner. So Brooks she's like, all right, I ain't fucking with you guys anymore, but let's keep this business relationship going. Which I thought was really cool, you know? No need to let the relationship completely, like, you know, get thrown out. It's like, you know, we can still work together. Brooke says that Zoran seems really calm now, and this segues to them discussing the darker parts of their marriage and how he's changed. And he acknowledges, she said that he was very angry during their marriage, and he would take his anger out on everyone around him, including her. And he does acknowledge that. He's like, you know, it was a tough time in my life. I've changed a lot as a person, and he apologizes to Brooks for what he did to her and stuff. And they'll go into any detail and stuff, and we don't know if it's like emotional, physical, financial, like all of the above, you know, some kind of combination. We don't know, but Brooks does say that this meeting and them kind of addressing the darker aspects to their past, it gives her closure. So she says she walked away from the meeting with closure. So good for her, you know. Being introduced to a major part of this episode, Lisa's dancehall themed party. So she has a virtual invitation to everyone, and she's basically like, you know, things have been kind of weird lately with the group, so I wanted to kind of bring us all together with some dancehall. Like, so it was really cute. We can see Stanbury's reaction. So she's talking with her daughter, and she's like, "Oh, I just got invited to this dance party," and they're like, like just being all weird about it. It's like, girl, shut up, get the stick out of your ass. She's really having a great time, but she's acting like, "Oh, I don't want to go, like this dance party, what?" But yeah, and then we see Nina, Sarah, and Ayan. They're hitting up this place called the Gold Souk. It's essentially this is like, think of like a big outlet where they're all selling gold and shit. It's a big old place, this marketplace where they're selling gold. And Ayan arrives all extra, showing this like this lavender dress, this long. Brooke said it best. Later on, she describes it as like a quinceañera dress. That is exactly what it's giving, to be honest. But yeah, and then Sarah and Nina, they're like, "What the fuck?" Sarah's like, "Girl, who the fuck comes to the Gold Souk like this?" And Nina, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're making me not want to bargain anymore. Like you look so extra. I don't want to be a cheap ass, you know." So it was cute. She came very impractical. We'll talk about later on, but it's definitely a statement piece, you know. Then we see some Gold Souk antics. You know, I'm checking things out. There's gold everywhere. We see Nina bargaining and shit. She's like, "How much is this?" And the guy tells her a price. She's like, "Oh, this much for this chain? It's as thick as my hair. It's as thick as my hair. Give me a better price." And it's like, holy fuck. So Nina's bargaining and haggling and shit. Then afterwards, the girls are sitting outside on a little bench or whatever. And Ayan, she tells Nina and Sarah, she's like, "Oh, I want to invite you guys for some Ethiopian food right now." Ayan says it's her mother's culture. I guess her mom's from Ethiopia. And yeah, and she's like, "Oh," but then she said that Brooks will be there. And Sarah claims that she's open. She says she wants to help Brooks again. You know, she's, "Oh, I want to help her. I want to help her." And it's like, bitch, she just wants an apology. She just wants you to acknowledge, you know what I mean? Help her by doing that. Then we quickly see Sergio and Stanbury. Sergio is specifically showing Stanbury the Miami Jamaican style. He's basically twerking and shaking his ass. He's like, "You have to dance like this. Like, see, babe, I do that." And there's practicing, and Yasmin, she's calling it cringe. And while they're getting ready, Stanbury, like her daughter suggests like a certain shoe for her to wear. And Stanbury's like, "Oh no, that's too normal. I I'm supposed to look ridiculous. And this keep doing more antics, you know, like, oh, you should wear this, you should wear that, you should wear this. And it was funny. It was like Sergio's twerking and shit was funny, but then eventually got kind of like, And I'm surprised people weren't kind of going off on that. I think what Stanbury meant, because Stanbury's like, you're supposed to kind of be extra. Because she's used the word ridiculous, and I don't know, maybe it has different connotations, like, but I don't know. It came off a lot more derogatorily, but I think she meant it more as like, oh, you have to be extra. You have to like just be all out. You know what I mean? But yeah, it didn't come off well. I was surprised I didn't see more people talking about it on Twitter, but yeah, it did kind of get a little bit annoying, to be honest. Brooks is on the way to the Ethiopian lunch. She says that she's in the hood, and Ayan, Sara, and Nina, they're walking over, and Ayan's dress is like dragging all over the place. It's like all over the sidewalk and shit, and it's like very impractical for walking. And it was like, oh my goodness. And Ayan says she's praying the lunch will go well, and yeah, when they get there, they're waiting for Caroline Brooks still, and Nina tells the girls that her dad got to leave the hospital because you know, he'd recovered enough. He's still on oxygen, but he got to leave, and he like cried when he got home because, you know, when you're in the hospital for that long, you start to get, you know, things get kind of bleak. But he's like just so happy to be back home. So it was a really cute moment. And then Brooks arrives, and again, she says that it looks like Ayan's going to quinceañera, and I thought that shit was so funny, like, because it didn't like click for me before then, but it was like, oh my god, it's like this big old fucking quinceañera dress. It reminded me of this girl when she had flunked a grade, so it was when we were in 8th grade. Because people have their quinceañeras in their freshman year, like when you turn 15, it's usually when I go, but she had it like in 8th grade. And she tried coming to school like I don't know if it's in a legit quinceañera dress, but she came to school in it was like this extra dress. She looked like a fucking princess. She showed up to school wearing that shit, and she had to go home. It was a big old controversy and shit. Like, you sent her home because it was her fucking birthday, and she wore a big old fucking quince dress. Like, what the it was this whole stupid thing. It was just, oh my god, it was so funny. It reminded me of that shit, to be honest. And the girls at the table, it's kind of sitting, look through the menus and shit. Then Brooks brings up the cat in the room, which I thought was a great wording, because sometimes saying cow in the room, it's kind of like people take that wrongly, or people actually don't know the fucking definition behind that phrase. But anyway, and she says basically why Sara pissed her off, because she felt that Sara's being judgmental regarding her parenting. And Sara's kind of cutting hairs, because Brooks is like, oh, you know, you asked me, oh, why don't you go upstairs and tuck your son in, honey? And Sara's like, oh, I didn't say that at all. And it's like, well, that is what you said. Like Sara's kind of cutting hairs, and like, oh, I didn't say that, but she really did. Or like, I didn't mean it like that. And it's like, well, why'd you say it? It's very much just like, Sara, just fucking apologize. Just be like, I didn't mean to piss you off. I didn't mean to come off weird. I apologize for that. You know, it's like so simple. I swear to God. Sara continues denying shit that she clearly said, including like, Brooks points out that Sara was like, oh, you told me I should be closer to my son. And Sara's like, I didn't say that. Then they roll a tape and we see Sara fucking saying that. And both are getting frustrated and just not backing down. Nina, the fake peacemaker, she tries to calm them down by like yelling like, stop doing this! We're not doing this like that! But Brooks keeps on going. And Brooks, she says that Sara comes off all therapeutic and she ends up going too far with it. And Sara calls bullshit, and Brooks tells her to shut the fuck up. This upsets Sara, and then Brooks continues. She calls Sara a fake therapist in the confessional. She's like, oh, she should like spend some money and go get a real PhD and not an honorary one. Brooks is just sending the fucking jabs and shit. And Brooks again tells Sara to shut up, and Sara gets all bugged. She's like, oh, tell me to shut up one more time, and I'll deal with you differently. But Brooks is ready with that shit. Brooks stands the fuck up. She's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And Sara just leaves. She's like, whatever. And it's like, girls, cursing in public is illegal in the UAE. Let's stop acting like we're gonna fight. Like, let's stop, you know? But Brooks would whoop Sara's ass. Let me just say that. And Ayan, she's like the Pikachu meme, just like, she's just so blown away. And she's like, Sara, be kinder to Brooks. And Brooks, calm down. Like, Ayan's just like, oh my god. Like, she's not with it. And yeah, Sara storms off. And Ayan, she tries to reason with Brooks, but it doesn't really go anywhere. Brooks just wants Sara to own up and apologize. And Ayan says she thinks that Brooks didn't want to fix the problem. She thinks that, actually, Ayan says that, that Sara would have probably gotten to that point if Brooks had just kept her cool. Brooks is like, what are we supposed to do? Fucking sit here and listen to her spew her bullshit? Like, I don't know. I get where Brooks is coming from with this shit. Like, I do not get Team Sara with it. Are you Team Sara? Or are you Team Brooks? Like, I don't really get. I get where Brooks is coming from. Maybe I'm just a bitch. I don't know. And yeah, everyone leaves, and Ayan, she's left to eat the food alone. She's all sad about it because she's like, in my culture, we like share food to like be happy, and now it's like, well, fuck. All right, I guess I'm alone. So, but yeah. Now, the penultimate scene is Lesa. She's inviting all the ladies to meet her at this little dance studio. It's going to practice some choreography and get some moves for the dance hall party. Nina arrives first, and she fills Lesa in on the Ethiopian lunch drama. And then, but Lesa, she's hopeful that the dance hall music will basically unify everyone. She's like, it brings people together and it'll be a good time. Everyone arrives, and basically Lesa decides to break the girls up into groups, basically half and half. So Lesa decides to make a little team building thing, and this actually worked, and it was really genius, I feel. She puts Brooks, Sara, and Ayan together, and then she puts her, Stanbury, and Nina together. Because remember, Lesa and Stanbury have their issues, Brooks and Sara have their issues, and then Ayan and Nina, the neutral kind of peacemakers, they're both 1-1, so... Yeah, they're doing that, and not gonna lie, it really did bring the girls together. They do fun dance stuff, like this vibing and shit. It goes really well. Ayan says she imagines she's Rihanna and Beyonce's baby when she's dancing. And yeah, just kind of strut, they dance and shit. Stanbury had a good time, it seemed, because she was kind of like, oh my gosh, I hate dancing, but she was like, hey, So it went really well. The event ends. And the girls start to head out, but Brooks and Sara, they stay behind, just talk about their issues. Brooks apologizes, and she opens up about why she was triggered, and the girls make up. Now, again, I just don't get why it took so long, why it took Brooks doing because, again, I feel like Sara, if she's so emotionally aware, should be able to be like, oh, I misstepped, I meant it with these intentions, but it wasn't received that way, I understand, but they make up and they're all good now. They say want to close the door and just move past it. So that was a good scene. And then lastly, we have the dance hall party. Ayan and Sara, they show up wearing fucking afros. Lisa's father-in-law, he's wearing this, these fake dreads like attached to this Rasta cap. But Lesa, before people get a chance to go off on Twitter, Lesa shuts down the cultural appropriation stuff in the confessional. She's like, I don't want to hear any cultural appropriation shit. In Jamaica, we say we unify everyone, so shut it down. It's all good. Fuck it. So it's like, okay, Lesa, getting ahead of the curve, okay? And it's really good vibes. The girls are getting so lit. It's super fun. There's a little dance battle. It seemed like white chicks vibes. There's a little dance battle where the groups go head to head. Lesa, she's shit-talking... Well, Lesa and Brooks, actually. They're both shit-talking Ayan's dancing. Brooks is like, man, I thought black people were supposed to have rhythm and shit. But yeah, Lesa said Ayan looked like Big Bird with her dancing and shit. But Ayan was bringing the energy and shit. It was really fun. And everything goes really well, to be honest. It really brought everyone together. And yeah, it's just really fun vibes. And the episode ends on this really high note. And yeah, it was a really good episode. It was really good vibes. Episode 8 and 9 were both really good, but episode 9 really took the cake. We got some of the drama with Brooks and Sergio towards the beginning, but then it kind of all fizzled out and boom, ended with a nice dance hall party. But again, pretty good episode. Just wanted to kind of get this 2 for out of the way. But yeah, so go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you thought about everything. Whose side were you on? Were you on Brooks' side or Sara's side? What do you think about Stanbury's comments on this episode? What do you think about the dance hall party? Just let me know your thoughts. And while you're at it, be sure to like and subscribe. Whew, I'm talking a lot, sorry. I'm kind of out of it right now. Anyway, thanks again for watching. See you again soon. Bye.